Welcome to another episode of the Sage Holistic Show. My name is Emily Sellis and I am your host. Today I am so excited to let all of you know that we have a special Orange County Healers series, which is going to be professionals from all over Orange County specifically, offering their breadth of knowledge and experiences in healing. Today we start with Ken Graves, who is a marriage and family therapist and is the owner of KG Psychological Services of Orange County in Newport Beach. So have a listen if you want to learn more about what your wise mind is, how to access that when you are stuck in an emotional place, and what DBT is, Dialectical Behavior Therapy. Have a listen. Sage is a 501c3 nonprofit organization building community by providing education and counseling about physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. We encourage all of our listeners to find their own path to what holistic wellness means to you.
So thanks everybody. As Robin shared, the core kind of who I am in my practice is really education. I have a giant glass whiteboard in my office that I'm pretty sure my clients make fun of me every time, like, oh, he's going to the whiteboard. But for me, just being a visual person, it's so nice to be able to see things. And I think talk therapy is kind of boring. And so if I use myself as a filter, if I'm bored, I'm pretty sure my clients are bored as well. So I try to definitely make things a little bit more fun and interesting and practical. So then I always ask the $1 million question, right? How do we use this outside of here today? So I'll give you kind of like a brief history of how I got into DBT, and then I want to teach you a little bit. Educator kind of coming out in me and giving you some understanding of one of the core components of DBT. And then as I shared earlier, hopefully we'll be able to have a chance to practice it. And so for those of you that might be a little anxious, it's participation at your own comfort level. But as a therapist, I do enjoy silence too. So definitely don't feel ashamed to speak up. So I started off at a number of different companies, but where I did a majority of my clinical training was from a Center for Discovery. And if anyone has ever gone through any kind of internship or traineeship, they really give the interns kind of the crappy jobs and the crappy things that nobody wants to do. And one of those things was DBT group. And learned pretty early on there that DBT group was not one of the favorites. It was it's the group that you oh, I got to go to the bathroom, or oh, I have to skip out, or oh, I have a dentist appointment. And I was not looking forward to really leading it because it was just such an unpopular group. And as I got in there, one of the therapists who had previously led it and graciously passed on the baton, shared with me, you have this giant workbook, it's 4, 5, 6 inches long. And all you really have to do is, go in there and pick out a couple worksheets, pass them out, and, call it a group. And my first thought was like, no wonder why this is so boring. Like it's not practical. It doesn't make sense. That was my least favorite part of school, is just doing pointless worksheets. So I took it upon myself to really learn DBT with my clients. I got Marsha Linehan's Green Workbook Skills Group and basically rewrote it for being a teenager. And I learned it with my kiddos. And so, we would do the skill that week or do the lesson, and the client would say, all right, Ken, I don't understand this. And it'd be like, yeah, I don't know either. Let's figure it out. I'll get back to you. And so they were gracious enough to kind of teach me as I was teaching them. And one of the things I first realized when teaching DBT was I didn't really know what the hell it was. I had this idea of mindfulness that was probably pretty distorted. I have this image of waking up super early, climbing this mountain, throwing out your yoga mat, doing mindfulness and meditation for hours upon time. And as someone who struggles with ADHD, I thought that was going to be pretty useless. And one of the things I realized, and hopefully I can share with you today, is that that's actually further from the truth, and that mindfulness can really be every single moment of every single day. One of the things we often talk about is intentions. So anything we do with a specific intention can be used for mindfulness. So I'm going to see if I can share this. I created a little, only the host can share this. Is there a way for me to be able to share something?
Yes. Hang on one second. I'm going to make you a co-host, Ken.
Okay. Ooh.
Ooh.
There
you go. Does that work?
Okay, let's see. It should, yeah. Let's see. Screen. Photos. Nope. Hold on.
It's not letting you?
No, it is. But I think I hit the wrong button. Photos. There we go. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's hard to see?
I was going to say what
great.
might be helpful is if you guys change this from, like, I forget what it's called.
Gallery view to speaker view. Yeah.
Thanks, Emily. You know what I mean.
I just did it.
So we're good now? Cool. So one of the things we talk about with DBT, there are a couple different components to it. And one of the components is called mindfulness. And I did a pretty quick Google search the other day of mindfulness, and I got something like 150 million hits in 0.02 seconds. The first 4, 5, 6 websites that come up are, what is mindfulness? How to be mindful? Top 10 ways of being mindful? Why mindfulness is beneficial? And really what I take from that is we really have no idea what mindfulness is, and everyone has a different perspective of it. And so kind of core foundation DBT, which stands for Dialectical Behavior Therapy, by the way. And it's really just understanding our mindsets and being aware of our thinking, our feelings, and our behaviors. So one of the things we talk about is the different mind states. So DBT talks about 3 different states of mind. We have what we would call the emotional mind. The far opposite end is our logical mind. And then the balance would be the wise. So good way to remember emotional mind. I stole this from 12 Steps. This may look familiar. The acronym is HALT. So it stands for hungry, angry, lonely, tired, and sick. So when we're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, sick, we're more likely to be in our emotional mind. And when we're in our emotional mind, we make emotional decisions. So we see the world almost like through an emotional lens. I like the first 2 kind of combined. You probably heard this term hangry. When people get hangry, it's because they're hungry, because they have low blood sugar. And we see the world through that lens. If I'm hungry and I'm waiting for, let's say, food at a restaurant, my emotional mind could take over, and logically I would understand, like, I'm about to have food, that will be satisfied, but emotionally I'm hungry right now. And you think about it, they kind of all coincide together. When we're lonely, we have distorted views of being lonely. When we're tired, and when we're sick. So we can think of times where being in our emotional mind is helpful. Being in therapy, weddings, funerals, watching funny movies. It doesn't have to be bad either. It can be really good. We also know that there's times where being in our emotional mind is probably less than helpful. Driving, working, planning for, making some big life decisions. You want to be a little bit more balanced. Then we have the extreme over here to the right. We have our logical or our rational mind. This would be like our problem solving. This would be our planning, our organizing. The example would be like kind of doing a puzzle. If anyone's ever done a puzzle, I get super mad when the piece doesn't fit. You get kind of emotional. You have to look at it more logically, see the bigger picture. And then we have the whys. So whys would be the combination of emotional and logical. So this is really the best version of ourselves. If I'm in my wise mind, and let's say that my wife comes to me with something that she's experiencing and she's having a hard time, the emotional mind would be there to be empathetic, to be validating, to be supportive, but also logically kind of removing myself from her emotions. Oftentimes, couples kind of go in both extremes. Either one is logical and the other is emotional, or both partners become emotional. And so the best version of ourselves is that wise mind. And so when people say mindfulness and the benefit of being mindful, is to get us close to that wise mind so that we can see both perspectives. And so the benefit of wise mind and using mindfulness to get us there is we actually have a couple sets of skills that help us get there. We have what we would call how skills on the left, and we have what we call what skills on the right. So how skills are simply how to be mindful. They're things to keep in mind to practice mindfulness with, again, the intention to be closer to the wise. The what skills are what different types of mindfulness skills are there in order to get you close to that wise. So we'll go through these a little bit quicker. And then I have two exercises for us to go through. So how? The first way we think about is being non-judgmental. I ask clients, and I'll ask you this morning to think of either two things. Think of an infant or toddler, or think about puppies, because infants and toddlers and puppies are very mindful. It's a quality that they have that we as adults sometimes forget or don't have the best skills in. So non-judgmental. How are babies non-judgmental? They're super curious. They put everything in their mouth, right? Doesn't matter if it smells good, it smells bad, it looks funny, it's going to be harmful. They're curious. They're curious little human beings. Puppies are non-judgmental. They love everyone. Puppies love everybody and everything. If I yell at my puppy for chewing, she's upset for probably 3.5 seconds, and then she goes back to, oh my gosh, I love you. She's non-judgmental. She doesn't care what I'm wearing. She doesn't care what I look like. She doesn't care if I've gained weight, if I lost weight. She just loves me. And as humans, we're born non-judgmental, but then we're taught to make judgments along the way. We make judgments all day long. Making judgments isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just not mindfulness. Move down, another how would be effective. So I have a tendency to be a little bit on the immature side, which is why I work really well with teenagers. It's a little bit of a judgment, but I'm not going to judge myself. So I have the example of having to go pee. If you had to go pee in this moment, at least for me, I would be kind of bouncing around, kind of moving around, kind of up and down. My mind would be totally in a different place. It would be, should I go to the bathroom? Should I not? I'm giving a presentation. Is it weird if I do? Should I not? There's a cup right here. Could I do it here? Should I not? You're distracted completely. So the effective skill would be to just use the bathroom and then come back. And when you come back, you're present, you're in the moment, you're able to stay focused. So this shows up in a number of different things. If people are studying, right, to turn off the music, to focus. If you're having conversations with others, put the phone down. Sometimes, my wife and I will have a no phone rule if we're watching a shared show together, so that we can be effective and be connected. And then the last one is one thing in the moment. So it's doing one thing at a time, putting all of your focus and attention on one thing. I have a 3-year-old niece who's super into a really stupid show on the internet. Really creepy guy. I can't remember his name. She'll sit there and watch him and just stare intently. And if you call her name, she's not paying attention because she's doing one thing in the moment. Again, as adults, we're taught to multitask. Think about like baking, for example. Oftentimes when you're baking, you're doing 4, 5, 6 things at once. Not a bad thing to multitask, it's just not mindfulness. So the idea of mindfulness and the idea of one thing in the moment is to put all your focus and attention on one thing, doing one thing at a time. I had a teacher in college who would say, if you're brushing your teeth, brush your teeth. If you're washing your face, wash your face. If you're, tying your shoe, when was the last time you thought about tying your shoe? Think about all the things we do on autopilot, automatic, driving sometimes even. So one thing in a moment is a really good way of being able to focus on just doing one thing at a time. And then we have observe, describe, and participate. So observe, when we're observing, what we're doing is we're observing ourselves, we're observing others, we're observing our situation, we're observing our emotions, we're observing kind of everything in the moment. Describe is really attaching words to those observations. And then participate is taking time to actively do something in the moment to practice that mindfulness. So I'll give just a second if anybody else wants to write this down, and then I want to share a couple activities for us to be able to practice this. Again, with the intention of getting closer to that wise. So I'll go ahead and stop that. Perfect, that worked out awesome. Just need a really quick volunteer. Do you have any sense of what mind state you are currently in? Your emotional mind, your logical mind, or your wise mind? Anybody want to share?
I'm emotional.
Awesome, that's great. So being in your emotional mind. So when you use this activity that we're going to practice, the intention would be to use the logic of this activity to get closer to that wise. So if you're in your emotional mind, if we go back to that circles, you're over here, you want to use the logic to be able to get closer to that wise. Perfect, thanks. Anybody else want to share?
I'm definitely in my logical mind.
Yeah,
Planning,
I think I am too.
Organizing. Yeah.
For sure. So as we're doing this activity or these activities, connect to the emotions of it. So you're going to go the opposite side. So you're feeling logical and rational. You're going to connect to the emotions of this. What emotions are you feeling? Mm-hmm. Happy, joy, confused, anger, annoyance, whatever emotion is coming up for you, be in touch with that. So you go to the other side and you get yourself closer to that wise. Okay. Anybody feel like they're in their wise mind this morning?
Right. Can you go between them?
Say that again.
Like, can you go between them? Because sometimes I feel like I'm in the pendulum, like,
yeah,
Yeah, you can certainly vacillate back and forth. There's times where I'm certainly in my emotional mind, and then you can kind of switch gears and get back into the logical. There's no, again, like go back to that non-judgmental, there's no right or wrong place to be. We just know that the best version of ourselves is in that wise. And so if we can connect to the opposite mind state, even just for a minute or two, then we'll have the opportunity to kind of be better. So Ryan, was that?
Yeah, I got a question, because before you asked to the group what mind you're in, I would have totally been with Robin, logical, completely thinking in that space. As soon as you asked that, I went, anxiety, maybe I'm going to say something. And I'm feeling it right now, talking in front of the group. That doesn't feel wise to me, though I certainly feel attuned to my emotions and I'm critically thinking. Where does that work in this model?
I would actually say that that is probably more wise than you're thinking, because if you were solely in your emotional mind and you were anxious, that would be seeing the world through that anxiety lens, right? So you would probably be quiet. You probably wouldn't speak up. You might turn your camera off. You might go in the corner and cry. I don't know, I'm being a little dramatic, right? But
Sure.
when you're in that emotional mind, you're not able to see the logic. You're not able to see the bigger picture. So the fact that you're able to say, actually, it's okay. I'm in a group of my peers. I'm going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. This presentation will be over soon and this guy will leave me alone, right? Like those are all the bigger pictures that actually probably feels a little bit more wise than you think.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
So are you saying that you can be in wise mind, but it doesn't necessarily have to feel comfortable?
Absolutely. Yeah. Wise, we put kind of labels on these terms. Wise is good, right? Because we're all wise and we want to be wise, but it's not necessarily that. It's more just the balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Cool.
That was the example you gave about like thinking how our wise mind is like, we are going to trek to the top of the mountain and throw our yoga mat out. So I just love that. Those are great examples. Thank you, Ken, for helping us understand that.
For sure.
And
Leanna, did you have one?
A really quick question. I know we're pretty much at the end. So would it be safe to say when you are describing this to a client, so, we take it, you did a great job by just breaking it down. So sometimes our clients can feel overwhelmed understanding what the logical mind is and understanding what the emotional mind, and then going, now I need to figure out what my wise area is. What a good indication, and I'm kind of playing off of what Ryan said, to ease them into this like they are doing it, would it be safe to say as long as you feel like you are able to balance both, or that you feel both, so if there's like that pendulum swing, then that can technically be like you have been in the wise?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think sometimes my clients want to be so definitive, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm definitely in my emotional mind, I'm definitely in my logical mind.
I do.
But it's definitely more of a continuum. So the
Okay.
idea is like, think about the extremes. When I'm in my emotional mind, I'm only seeing the world through the lens of my emotions, right? If I'm angry, I see the color red. People are attacking me. I feel defensive. I feel upset. I'm crying. I'm, not able to see the bigger picture. When I'm in my logical mind, I'm so focused on the task that I miss out on the emotions or how other people might be perceiving it. And then you have kind of the continuum. So the whys really can be kind of like being able to see both.
Okay, thanks.
So this is a really good activity to try. It'll be pretty quick. This is a good thing to do with groups. It's also really good to do with families. Believe it or not, sometimes I've done it with even just my family because it's kind of fun. And then my wife makes fun of me, but that's okay. So if we're in a room together, this is called mix and mingle. So we have times to kind of mingle together. That's kind of like our start. And then we're going to either go to the left or to right. So on Zoom, what I'm going to ask you to do is you're going to either raise your left hand or you're going to raise your right hand. Or you could put your head to the left, or you could put your head to the right, or you can go to the left of the screen, or you can go to the right, just kind of whatever you want to do. But the idea is that you're going to do either left or right, depending on which part you most relate to. So for example, if I were to say coffee over here or tea, which one would you most relate to? Ready, go. Kind of fun to see what everyone's doing. Oh, Ryan, you got to pick one.
Can you say like left or right for the hand? Because we're having the opposite of what you have.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's go with pizza to the left or fried chicken to the right. Ooh, very cool. Let's go with Disneyland to the left or the beach to the right. Shelly. No, you got to pick one. Awesome. Let's go with, we'll do a would you rather. How about a summer without air conditioning to the left or a winter without heat to the right? Okay, so obviously the list could go on, and you could do this kind of all day. Somebody share what this was like for them. What did you notice? What was going on in your body? What was it like to participate in this? Go ahead, Katie.
The things that, you relate to, I think, give you like that instant sort of, internal buzz. And it makes you it's kind of crazy. It really does make you present to think about the things that you like more.
Yeah. Cool. Somebody else, what was this like for you?
It was stressful. I can't choose between Disney and the beach.
I know.
It was
It's tough.
stressful.
So it sounds like an emotion came up for you. What was the emotion, if you could be in touch with?
Oh gosh, I love both of them. I don't know what that emotion would be. Just like a desire to be at both places, and then just the stress of having to, ooh, I got it. There's a Disney hotel on Maui. That's the answer.
There you go. There you go. Anybody else want to share real quick? What was that like for you?
I have to be more logical because you give me choices that I don't like. So I have to think of like which one give me less suffering.
Right. Yeah. And that's really awesome because you checked in feeling more emotional, right? So using that intention to get into your logic actually makes you a little bit more balanced. So it's kind of doing the opposite. So if we talk about why this is a mindfulness exercise, right? The emotions involved, maybe it was joy, maybe it was sadness, maybe it was confliction, maybe it was, not sure how to respond. Those get you in touch with the emotions. Maybe you were having a difficult time or feeling a little anxious. Getting in touch with that emotions makes you feel a little bit more connected. The logic, as you'd mentioned, you have to think about it a little bit differently or problem solve, as Shelley mentioned, right? There's a Disney resort in Maui, so you have to use your brain power to be able to think of that. And I guess the point that I would share, because I think I'm almost out of time, right, Robin?
Yeah, we got to wrap up.
Okay. So the thing to think about would be, this is a really present activity, because I don't know about anybody else, but was anybody thinking about what they did this morning? Was anybody thinking about what they had to do later? No, we're kind of in the moment. So the more that we can kind of take activities that get us in that moment, like that's all mindfulness is. So like to kind of wrap it up, anything we do today could be mindfulness. Driving your car, brushing your teeth, playing with your dog, going to the bathroom, showering, whatever it is could be mindfulness if we have the intention behind it. So I'm feeling a little tired. What logically can I do to be in a better place? Maybe I take a quick nap. Maybe I have a second cup of coffee. Maybe I go for a little bit of a run or do some exercise so that I'm able to reboost my energy. So it doesn't take a specific yoga class, meditation class to be able to be mindful. We can be mindful all day long.
Thank you for spending some of your time today with us at Sage Holistic Health and Wellness Center. If you like what we're all about, please consider supporting our nonprofit organization by making a tax-deductible donation. To do this, you can go to our website at www.sagewellnessctr.org and click on Donate in the upper right-hand corner. We look forward to spending some time again with you real soon. Take good care.